us, don't let it fade.
Welcome to Liberty Monday with Monday. Today, we continue our series through the Declaration of Independence by examining the 5th and 6th of the 27 grievances listed by the founders. These grievances may sound procedural at first, but they strike at the very heart of representative government, consent of the governed, and the danger of centralized power. The founders were not merely complaining about inconvenience. They were documenting a deliberate pattern of behavior that made self-government impossible and liberty unsustainable. Context: why these grievances matter. By the time these grievances were written, the American colonists had already spent years petitioning, negotiating, and attempting reconciliation with the British Crown. What they encountered instead was obstruction, coercion, and manipulation of political authority. Grievances 5 and 6 focus on how laws are made, or prevented from being made, and how representative bodies were treated when they resisted unjust power. Together, they reveal a critical truth. Liberty does not disappear overnight. It erodes when lawful processes are distorted and when those who represent the people are punished for doing their duty. The 5th grievance: laws withheld unless rights are surrendered. The text of the grievance: he has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. What the founders were saying. This grievance addresses a deeply troubling tactic used by the Crown, withholding necessary laws unless the people surrendered their right to representation. In simple terms, the message from the king was this: you may have functional government, but only if you give up your voice. Why representation was inestimable. The founders deliberately chose strong language here. They describe representation as inestimable, beyond measure in value, essential to liberty, dangerous only to tyrants, not to free people. To the colonists, representation was not a privilege granted by government. It was a natural right, rooted in the idea that laws derive legitimacy from the consent of the governed. The coercive nature of this abuse. This grievance is especially important because it reveals coercion disguised as governance. The Crown refused to pass laws needed by growing populations, used basic governance as leverage, demanded political surrender in exchange for administrative functionality. This is not compromise. It is extortion through power. Why this threatened liberty? When people must choose between having laws that allow society to function, or retaining their right to representation, liberty has already been placed in jeopardy. The founders recognized that any government willing to trade rights for convenience cannot be trusted with power. The 6th grievance: punishing legislatures for standing firm. The text of the grievance: he has dissolved representative houses repeatedly, for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. What this means in plain language. When colonial legislatures resisted unjust laws or defended the rights of their constituents, the Crown responded not with dialogue, but with force. The king dissolved elected assemblies, did so repeatedly, targeted those who showed manly firmness in defending rights. This grievance documents a direct assault on self-government. Why dissolving legislatures is so dangerous. Representative assemblies exist to give voice to the people, check executive overreach, debate, resist, and refine law. By dissolving these bodies, the Crown removed accountability, local consent, peaceful means of opposition. When lawful resistance is eliminated, unrest becomes inevitable. Manly firmness and moral courage. The phrase manly firmness is not about bravado. It refers to moral courage. The founders were praising representatives who refused to yield under pressure, stood against rights violations, accepted personal and political risk to defend liberty. Instead of respecting this courage, the Crown punished it. A pattern, not an isolated act. The grievance emphasizes that this was done repeatedly. This matters because it shows intent. The crown was not correcting dysfunction, it was silencing dissent, crushing opposition, conditioning obedience through fear. That is the behavior of authoritarian power, not lawful governance. The deeper principle behind both grievances. Together, Grievances 5 and 6 expose a coordinated strategy. Withhold laws unless rights are surrendered. Dissolve assemblies when rights are defended. This creates a no-win scenario for free people. Either you accept governance without representation, or you lose governance entirely when you resist. The founders understood that a system designed this way cannot be reformed, it must be replaced. Why these grievances still matter today. These grievances are not relics of colonial history. They are warnings. They remind us that representation must never be conditional. Legislatures must be free to oppose executive power. Rights cannot survive where dissent is punished. The Declaration teaches us that liberty requires structure, courage, and constant vigilance. In closing, Grievances 5 and 6 show us that the road to independence was not paved by impulse, but by experience, hard lessons learned through repeated abuses of power. The founders documented these grievances not to inflame, but to justify separation. They wanted the world to understand that their break from Britain was not rebellion, it was necessity. And that lesson remains as relevant today as it was in 1776. Thank you for watching. As always, stay informed, stay free.